You don't have a motivation problem. That's the lie. The real problem is this. The motivation tricks you're using right now are about to fail you badly. Not slowly, not gently, badly. And 2026 is going to expose that. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you felt fired up after a video, a quote, a podcast, a late night promise to yourself, only to wake up a few days later and do nothing? Same habits, same excuses, same life. If motivation worked the way you were told, you'd already be disciplined, focused, and winning. But you're not. And it's not because you're weak. It's because the rules have changed. What worked before won't work anymore. And if you don't understand why, 2026 will hit you harder than any year before. Because the world you're living in now is designed to destroy motivation, not build it. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why. Stay with me, because this might be the most important shift you make this year. You see, most people were taught motivation like this. Feel inspired first, then take action. Sounds logical, right? Wrong. That idea was already fragile, and now it's completely broken. Back then, life was slower. Distractions were fewer. Rewards were delayed but meaningful. Today, you wake up and before your feet touch the floor, your brain is already overloaded. Notifications, messages, news, short videos, endless content screaming for your attention. Your brain doesn't even get a chance to want something deeply. It's constantly fed tiny dopamine hits. And motivation? Motivation can't survive in that environment because motivation needs space. It needs boredom. It needs silence. And you have none of that anymore. So if you're still waiting to feel motivated before you act, you'll be waiting forever. That's lesson number 1. Old motivation was emotional. New reality demands something else. Let me explain. Think about how you usually try to motivate yourself. You watch a powerful video. You imagine a better future. You tell yourself, this time I'll change. Your heart races. Your mind feels clear. You feel unstoppable. For a moment, but then life interrupts. Work stress, family pressure, unexpected problems, low energy days, and suddenly that emotional fuel is gone. Why? Because emotions are temporary. They always were. But in 2026, emotional motivation dies faster than ever because the world drains you constantly. So, if your system depends on feeling good first, you lose every time. Let me give you a real example. You decide to wake up early and work on yourself. You feel motivated Sunday night. You set the alarm. Monday morning comes. You're tired. Your phone is right there. Your brain whispers, just today, sleep more. And because motivation was the only thing holding you, you give in. Now multiply this by weeks, months, years. That's how people stay stuck. Not because they don't know what to do, but because their strategy is outdated. Motivation used to be the spark. Now it's a distraction, because chasing motivation keeps you chasing feelings instead of building systems. And systems are the only thing that survives 2026. Here's the brutal truth. The future doesn't reward motivated people. It rewards structured people. People with boring routines, simple rules, non-negotiable actions. People who act even when they feel nothing, especially when they feel nothing. But most people don't want to hear that. They want something exciting, something dramatic, something that makes them feel powerful right now. And that's exactly why they stay powerless. Let's talk about another old trick that's about to fail you. Positive thinking. You've been told to think positive, manifest, visualize success. And again, this isn't completely useless. But here's the problem. Positive thinking without brutal honesty turns into denial. In 2026, denial is dangerous because the competition is smarter. Technology is faster, and excuses are easier than ever. If you keep telling yourself, I'll figure out someday, without changing your daily behavior, you're lying to yourself, and your brain knows it. That creates internal conflict. You say one thing, You do another. Over time, your self-trust dies. And once you stop trusting yourself, motivation becomes impossible. Because why would your brain get excited about promises you never keep? Let that sink in. Every time you hype yourself up and quit, you train your brain not to believe you. So the next time you try to motivate yourself, it doesn't respond. Not because it's broken, but because it's learned. This is why motivational content feels weaker over time. You're not inspired anymore. You're numb. And that numbness is the real danger. Because numb people don't change. They scroll. They consume. They complain. But they don't move. Now here's something most people won't tell you. Discipline alone won't save you either. Yes, discipline matters. But the old idea of discipline was based on willpower. Just push harder. Just be stronger. Just force yourself. That worked when life had fewer demands. But today, you're mentally exhausted before the day even starts. Decision fatigue. Information overload. Constant comparison. So, if your plan is to just be disciplined, you'll burn out fast. What works now is not raw discipline. It's friction control. Let me explain this simply. Your environment decides more than your mindset. If distractions are easy, you'll get distracted. If bad habits are convenient, you'll repeat them. If good habits are hard to start, you'll avoid them. So instead of trying to motivate yourself to fight your environment, you redesign the environment. You remove choices. You reduce friction. You make the right action the easiest action. For example, instead of motivating yourself to stop scrolling at night, you leave your phone in another room. Instead of motivating yourself to exercise, you put your shoes next to your bed. Instead of motivating yourself to work, you block distracting apps. This isn't weakness. This is intelligence. Old motivation relied on inner strength. New progress relies on smart design. And the people who understand this will dominate the next decade quietly, while others keep waiting for inspiration. Now let's talk about another motivation myth that's collapsing. The idea that you need a big why. You've heard it before. Find your purpose. Connect to your why. That's how you stay motivated. Sounds deep, but here's the truth. Your why doesn't get you out of bed on hard days. Your habits do. Your systems do. Your identity does. In 2026, life is unpredictable. Plans change. Goals shift. Motivation fluctuates. If your entire drive depends on one emotional reason, it won't hold. What lasts is identity-based action. Instead of saying, I want to be successful, you say, I'm the kind of person who shows up daily. Instead of saying, I want confidence, you say, I'm the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. Identity doesn't need motivation. It needs consistency. And consistency doesn't feel exciting. It feels boring, repetitive, almost invisible. But it compounds. And that's the part most people miss. They want visible progress fast. But the future rewards invisible effort done daily. Let me give you a scenario. Two people start the same goal. Person A waits to feel motivated. They go all in for 3 days, then disappear. Person B does the minimum daily action, even when tired, even when uninspired. Person A is planning a restart. Person B has changed completely, not because they were more motivated, but because they stopped depending on it. That's the shift. Motivation is optional. Systems are mandatory. Now, here's another uncomfortable truth. Most motivation content is entertainment. It makes you feel like you're improving without actually improving. And your brain loves that because it gets the reward without the effort. But in 2026, this becomes a trap. You consume more. You act less. You confuse clarity with progress. Watching videos, saving quotes, planning endlessly, but doing very little. So ask yourself honestly, how much content have you consumed that you never applied? That's not learning. That's avoidance. And the more you do it, the harder real action feels. So what should you do instead? You limit input. You increase output. less inspiration, more execution. One idea applied beats 1,000 ideas saved, every single time. Now, let's bring this all together. Why will your old motivation tricks fail you in 2026? Because they rely on feelings instead of structure, willpower instead of design, hope instead of systems, inspiration instead of identity. And the world you're stepping into doesn't care how inspired you feel. It responds to what you do consistently, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. So here's the new approach you need to survive and win. You stop asking, how do I feel today? And start asking, what is my minimum non-negotiable action? You stop chasing motivation. You build routines that run without it. You stop making dramatic promises. You make small, boring commitments you can keep. You stop consuming endlessly. You execute daily. That's it. Not flashy, not exciting, but effective. And here's the most powerful part. Once you start acting without motivation, motivation comes back. Naturally, quietly, as a side effect, because progress creates motivation, not the other way around. Let me say that again. Progress creates motivation. When you see yourself showing up, keeping promises, moving forward, your confidence grows, your self-trust returns, and suddenly, you don't need tricks anymore. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done. That's the real win. So, if you're watching this and thinking, I've tried everything. No, you've tried motivation. Now it's time to try systems. And if this message hit you, if it made you uncomfortable, if it felt personal, that's a good sign. Because comfort doesn't change lives. Action does. Before you leave, I want you to do one thing. Just one. Comment below with one old motivation habit you're ready to let go of, and one small action you'll commit to doing daily. No pressure, no perfection, just consistency. If this video gave you clarity, like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who's still waiting to feel motivated. Because 2026 doesn't wait, and neither should you.